What's going on, everybody? This is BroncoJuggalo, and I am coming to you today with the review for Wrong Turn 5, Bloodlines. Now, this is the final film in this franchise, directed by Declan O'Brien, also written by him. And this one stars Doug Bradley, yes, Pinhead himself, as Maynard Odets. In our film today, the Hilliker brothers, yes, they're back once again. They team up with serial killer Maynard Odette, also known as the Old Man. If you watch the rest of the films, you know who I'm talking about. And they decide to prey on the small town of Fairbanks, West Virginia. Fairbanks, West Virginia is having a musical festival based, believe it or not, on the inbred hillbillies that are in the woods here. And, it celebrates basically the murders. Very weird, huh? Anyways, this movie takes place between Part 4 and Part 1, and it explains how they got to Part 1 from Part 4. So in that aspect, I really enjoyed that part of it. As I said, this is the last of the Declan O'Brien. Some people call it the Declan O'Brien trilogy. It's the last time he directs one of these films. There is one more film after this one, so we'll get to that one pretty soon. I also wanted to throw in real quick that my next Wild Eye review will be Jurassic Dead. I've been saving this one, but I've really been looking forward to it. Definitely gonna have some things to say about this movie. You definitely want to check this movie out, and definitely check out my review when it comes out. We're gonna start off with pros and cons, guys, and I'm gonna start with the cons. Okay, there's a few of them this time. Let me just say it right now. This is the worst in this series so far. I haven't watched 6 yet. But it was still an enjoyable film. But it was still the worst in the series. So we're going to get the bad out of the way so I can get to the good. Okay? The first big bad in this one, for me, is the acting. Mostly of the deputies and the sheriff. The lady that plays the sheriff. I'm not expecting an actor to be a professional law enforcement officer. But you should at least know how to hold a gun and a shotgun. The way she's holding it, the way she looks, everything just looks terrible. Doesn't look right at all. Anybody who has any firearm proficiency at all would know that it was not the proper way to do it. Their acting, the deputies acting, oh my god, the deputies were terrible. Just so stupid. There's one deputy who is guarding the back entrance of the festival, and he lets a girl get in for fucking him. And the girl is extremely hot. The deputy is really ugly. She must be really desperate to meet the band. But the guy's acting is just atrocious in the scene. It's flat out terrible. As always, there is a lot of nudity in these films, which, depending on your point of view, you can either like or not like. Another big con for me is a lot of the kills were done with CGI this time. And you can tell they were done with CGI. A lot of them look terrible. Now, there are some good kills, but a lot of the kills in this were done with CGI. And they just look bad. The first kill of the film looks bad. I just really didn't like it. And you could definitely tell it's done with CGI and it just looked really shitty. Most of this movie takes place in and around the sheriff's office. And anytime there's a scene outside of the sheriff's office, and it takes place on basically one square block, you can definitely tell that this was filmed on a soundstage. All of the buildings look completely fake. Okay, there are some movies where it can work when you do that, especially older films. Old John Wayne movies, old Roger and Hammerstein musicals, all those. They had beautiful backdrops and paintings, and it looked gorgeous. Even though you knew they were on a stage somewhere, you didn't mind because it looked so good. And you could tell they put a lot of effort into it. This one looks like somebody built it out of Mego blocks and then painted it. It just didn't look very good. You could tell that it's on a soundstage. The street isn't wide enough for cars, but yet there's cars on it. And it just looks really bad. The Hilliker brothers are pretty good. They're the same as always. But how hard is it to do their acting job in this film? It's really not. So, anyways, I'm sorry I'm getting off on it a little bit. But the acting was bad. The set design was terrible. And there is a couple scenes where they are definitely outside. But that was part of the charm of this series, was that a lot of it was filmed out in the middle of nowhere, and it looked like it was filmed out in the middle of nowhere. This one just feels and looks very artificial. I almost forgot to mention the kids, the actors that play the central gang of high school or college age kids. All terrible actors, complete shit. Terrible performances. That being said, this movie does have some pros, and I didn't hate the film. I still found some enjoyment out of it. It was still fun. If you just totally ignore everything that's bad about it, it's a fun movie. So getting into pros, even though I said I didn't like the CGI kills, all the kills were really interesting. A lot of really cool, new, interesting stuff done. Really came out of the left field on some of the kills here. There's a kill where there is a guy buried up to his neck on the soccer field, and they're driving a big, like, some sort of tractor with a blade on it that's spinning in front. I'm not sure what kind of, like a brush cutter maybe. And they're barely missing his head, and they're playing with him, and they're having a lot of fun. And they hit him, and then they hit another body. A guy, he's trying to crawl away, and the guy's trying to help him. He's like, get away, get away. And he's tied at the ankle to the goalpost with a chain. And they run him over, and you could see his body flopping around in there. And that was a good one, because that one you could tell they used a dummy and did it. And that was cool. So that's another pro. When they did use practical effects, it did look really good, as it usually does with this franchise. However, I don't know why they leaned a little bit more heavy on CGI in this one, and I just didn't dig it. I really love Doug Bradley's performance in this film. He gives a great performance, as he always does. He had a lot more lines than he did ever as Pinhead, and I think it really got to stretch him a little bit and show him a little more of his chops. He got to talk a lot more, and you really believe that this dude was psychotic. He just played a great psycho, which, of course, he's always played a great psycho, so that's no surprise. But I just really enjoyed his performance. He was a lot of fun to watch. I liked when he was getting on to the Hilliker brothers. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. It was really fun. Doug Bradley, as always, gives a great performance. Thumbs up to Doug Bradley. You made this movie 10 times better just by being in it. My last pro for this, guys, is the story. I do enjoy the story of this film. It was well written. Declan O'Brien has done a pretty good job writing these movies. So the story in Part 5, in Bloodlines, it is not bad. And I believe if you think about why it's called Bloodlines, you'll figure it out, especially if you've watched all the films. If you have not watched all the films, watch them all, you'll figure it out. Fine. Spoiler here. The old man is their father. If you saw my review for Part 2, you'll know that. But that is their father. Everybody thought that they were orphans. They're not orphans. They thought they ate their parents. I don't know about their mother, but they didn't eat their father. Their father is a crazy psycho. And yeah, you get to know him a bit more. He's played by a few different actors in this franchise. Doug Bradley, probably the best one out of all. Well, I don't know. The guy in Part 2 was really good. He was funny. Especially when he told Henry Rollins, I gotta stay close to my youngins. I love that. I thought it was great. That is really it, though, guys. Good story here. I liked it. It's not a good movie. It's not a good movie. This one is, for the first time, in my opinion, in this franchise, not a good movie. 1 through 4 are all good movies. Even 3, which is a little less, is still a good movie. This one's not a good movie, but I enjoyed it. It was fun. I just liked it. I liked it. But there's enough cons that I could say it's a bad movie. As Cody Leach would say, stream it. Or do what I did. Pick up the box set at Walmart. You get all 6 movies for less than 12, or about $12. So it's worth it. Believe me, it's worth it. So I'm going to leave you guys with my favorite kill, and it is that mower kill I talked about. It's just an awesome kill. I love seeing the guy's body inside the machine, his head, everything getting chopped up. Looks really cool. Check out this movie, as I said, but don't buy it unless you're going to buy the multi-pack. Don't buy this as a single. You're throwing your money away. But if you're buying the multi-pack, definitely worth it. Believe me, definitely worth it. Think of this as a free film, basically. Anyways, this is BroncoJuggalo saying peace.
I am what I am and that's all that I am. I am what I am, I'm a hooligan. I am what I am and that's all that I am. I am what I am, I'm a hooligan. I am what I am and that's all that I am. I am what I am, I'm a hooligan. I am what I am and that's all that I am. I am what I am, I'm still a hooligan.